Hi.
Hi.
All right. So welcome to our Pre-Provincials Hangout. So we're just going to go over a few things about Friday and Saturday, a few tips, and just some general information.
All right, so first things first, we're going to talk about tomorrow. First thing that's happening tomorrow is the DECA swag pickup, so make sure that you come upstairs after school at 3:30 to pick up your lanyard and your portfolio. If you can't come, tell someone else to come get it for you, or else it's going to be very difficult for you to compete. Second of all, orals mocks are tomorrow after school, so fill up the Google form in the Facebook group or message an exec if you can come. And if you don't fill out the form or don't message anyone, you won't have a spot. So make sure you do that.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to things that you guys should bring on both of the days. Now we're gonna be posting a checklist with everything, like a comprehensive list of everything that you need, probably tonight or tomorrow, but I'm just gonna go over some of the really important ones. So tomorrow, like Jonathan said, we're going to be handing out the DECA swag. So that consists of your time card, which is like a little piece of paper that you're gonna have like on a lanyard, as well as your lanyard, which is going to be color-coded based on like which award ceremony you're in. And you can bring your portfolio to bring to your cases and write on and stuff. Second, which is really, really important, you guys all have to bring your student IDs. And this is important because especially if you're writing an MC, they won't let you write an MC if you do not bring your student ID. So in case you forget to pack it or anything, just take a photo of it really quick with your phones, like do it right now so you don't forget. And yeah, just make sure you bring your student IDs. You can keep it in like the little plastic part of your lanyard so you don't like forget it in your bag throughout the day. Next, you can bring a watch to time yourself for orals kids, so you don't need to like use your phone. As well, just like some basics, bring some water, bring some food if you're not buying any, and some money to buy food.
Okay, now moving on to arrivals and departures in terms of getting to and from profs. So we know that on the form originally it had said to get to the school at 6:40. However, we've changed this. So please be there by 6 in the morning on both Friday and Saturday. Friday especially, there'll be traffic heading down to the Sheraton, and the events are starting earlier than they usually are. So it's imperative that we are there on time. So please, 6 o'clock in the morning in the front foyer, be there on Friday and Saturday. As well, Mr. Valier would just like to reemphasize the fact that all members need to take the bus to and from the Sheraton. It's not an option unless your parents have directly contacted Mr. Valier, whether that's through an email or a note. We expect that all members will be taking the school bus there and back. So if you need to arrange anything else, be sure to let Mr. Valier know ASAP. And as well, in case you are leaving early on either of the days, just remember that you need to check in with Mr. Valier and let him know that you're leaving before you leave. But do try your best to stay for the entire day in order to, cheer on the rest of the chapter and really cheer everyone on. And Matthew would like to remind anyone that if you do miss the bus on either day, it will not be good. So don't be late.
Okay, so now moving on to what to do once we get to the Sheraton. So first, if you're competing on Friday, you really want to figure out exactly where you're going to be competing. So first, walk around as soon as you drop your stuff off. Walk around and figure out the room of where you're going to be competing. There's also a map on the Facebook group if you need it, and we will be distributing maps, I think, on Friday, so no need to worry. You're definitely going to be able to find your way there. There's also going to be banners with your category names on them. There'll be big banners that are like really, really tall that will say your category on it, so it'll be easy for you to spot where you're going to be waiting. Make sure you get to your case presenting area around 20 or 30 minutes before. You really want to be safe, just in case they are running early. Also, do not change out of your business attire while you're at the Sheraton, because that will get you docked marks. You can get penalty points for being in casual attire. So you can bring some business attire to change into in the morning, but once you're in it, we recommend that you do not change out. Also, don't leave the Sheraton or the Eaton Center. So these are the only two places that you can be. If you want to go to the Eaton Center, don't go above them. You have to take the path, which is like an underground way of getting around Toronto. So making a map now. If you want to get from the Sheridan to the Eaton Center through the path, you want to go east on Richmond Street. And then once you hit Yonge Street, you want to turn left and keep going north. And that will take you to the Eaton Center.
Okay, so now on to written competitions. All the presentations will be on Friday, and you want to arrive 20 to 30 minutes early to your designated competition room because usually they run early and you can practice outside anyways. So what the competition room is going to look like is it's going to be a big room with blue curtain dividers making like a small cubicle. So you're pretty much presenting in the same room as everyone else. So it'll be very loud, and make sure you're speaking at an audible volume. Bring out your visuals, so have at least 2 copies of every tangible in case you spill water on it or something. Bring a laptop, make sure everything's charged, bring a charger, and then a clicker. If you don't have a clicker, you can always borrow from someone that's not presenting at the same time as you. And then also, make sure your PowerPoint is accessible without Wi-Fi. So if you have your Google Slides, or if you have your PowerPoint on Google Slides right now, export it tonight if you haven't already, because sometimes exporting it will mess up the fonts and the format and it'll just be a mess. I can speak from personal experience. Just don't leave it until tomorrow night. And bring a hard copy of your report for the judge. Try to memorize your script, and then keep in mind time management. So 15 minutes includes the setup time and question time, so you should be practicing, aiming for like 12 minutes, including setup time. Delegate who's going to hold what like visuals and laptops when you walk into the room. And then also, if your partner is presenting and you're not speaking, just quick tip, smile and nod at your partner, and fake team chemistry if you don't have any, because if you stare blankly at the judge, they'll feel really, really awkward. And pace yourself. Okay, so finally on Saturdays, it'll be MCs for everyone in the marketing categories plus PSE. So, I guess this applies to orals kids too. Just print out your MCs to bring with you on Friday so you can study for them after your presentations or cases, because you'll have a lot of time on Friday. They're worth 40% for marketing categories, 33% for PSE. So don't forget like pencils, erasers, for function calculators, all that. Yeah.
All right, cool. Now for orals. So all orals presentations will be on Friday. As Anna just mentioned, everyone has written their MCs except for the marketing clusters, who will have their MCs on Saturday morning. It was mentioned before, make sure you bring your student ID, otherwise they won't let you write your MC, so don't forget that. Additionally, just go through the Sheraton and make sure you find your prep room before your call time. The prep room and call time should be on your time cards, which I believe were already released. Make sure you arrive at your prep room at least 10 or 15 minutes early. They have in the past called people in early when they're running ahead of schedule, so don't forget that. Remember to bring only blue or black pens or pencils and keep it consistent throughout your case. Use either blue ink or black ink or a pencil. Don't mix them. Bring blank paper if you don't like the paper that's provided to you in the pad folio. However, not all directors will allow you to use your own paper, so make sure you check with them first. Prep time is the same, so standard for individual orals, 10 minutes of prep and 10 minutes of presentation, and then for teams, 30 minutes of prep and 15 minutes of presentation. You won't get desk to prep like we did at regionals, though. There aren't classrooms. You're prepping on your laps, sitting in rows of chairs. So make sure you have some sort of a hard service, such as a binder or a clipboard, or just use your pad folios. They're already there for you. They're really great to prep on. Additionally, just like writtens, you guys will be presenting inside of a cubicle. There will be a ton of presentations going on all around you, so make sure you're loud and don't be unnerved by all of the noise. So after your prep time is over, be sure to find the judge with the corresponding letter you're given. It should be on your Scantron. You have to go to your pre-assigned judge. Make sure you have the right Scantron and make sure you're with the right judge before you start. Just as always, no pre-prep materials are allowed. Everything has to be done on the spot. Don't bring any like pre-prep notes in with you. You can get a lot of trouble for that. And just remember to give your notes to your judge at the end of your case. Smile, relax. We believe in you guys. You can do it.
Okay, so after you guys have all done your competitions, then it's time for award ceremony. So obviously, this is like one of the best parts of the entire competition, and everyone just kind of be a champ and cheer everyone on and really show the DECA spirit. And so for session 1, it's most likely assigned seating. So I'm gonna post the link right now in the chat. But basically, session 1 should be assigned seating where we and you can just find us on the PDF. But I think the next sections are all open seating, so we'll have to get there first, and it depends on where we are. So you should have already received all your time cards, and you should remember what your time is and where you are. So every event usually has around a different room. So make sure you know where your room is, as well as make sure like what time you're going at. So your time should be on your lanyard, which everyone is going to pick up tomorrow after school, as well as your portfolio and other DECA swag. So if you're so what they're doing this year is that if your time is from 9 to 11 a.m., then you have a blue lanyard. And if yeah, this is for award ceremonies, by the way. So if it's from 9 to 11, then you have a blue lanyard for the awards. And if you have 1 to 4, then you have an orange lanyard. And from 4:30 to 6, then you have a green lanyard. So these colors are dependent on basically what kind of competition. So if you're, for example, writtens or your individual orals or marketing. So it all depends on what your category is. So when you're going to award ceremonies, just if you're not already with a bunch of Bayview DECA members, then you can go in and try to find us. For session 1, we're at the very front, so it should be easy to find us. And definitely smile when you win, because we're going to be taking pictures of you, and you want to look the best on stage. So make sure you smile and look your best. So for ICDC qualifications, how it works this year is the top 10 for individual orals get to go to ICDC, the top 9 from team orals, the top 8 from written events. And because of sectioning this year, where you have kind of heats, it's usually the top person or the top team per judge that makes it to ICDC. So they have several judges along the way. So if you make it to ICDC, you'll have to be brought out immediately after the award ceremonies, and you're going to be asked for verbal consent for your ICDC spot. So Olga is going to ask you, yes or no, will you be going to ICDC? And if you say yes or you say no, and then you want to change your mind, then you have to pay an $100 cancellation fee if you say yes, and then you basically drop out later. So this is a really big reminder to wear appropriate clothing, or they won't let you on stage. And also not to do any inappropriate actions on stage, because you may get in trouble for that. So just try to be as formal as possible and wear appropriate clothing. There's business formal when you're on stage. And if you're in a team or event, just make sure everyone's clear on whether you're able to go or not. So because you cannot just Ironman the event without your partner. You can't just go by yourself. But for writtens, it's kind of different that one person can go. So make sure you just sort it out beforehand and see if both of you guys can go, or if one person can't go, either one, or just work it out between yourselves. And so the exact dates for ICDC this year is April 26, 2019 to May 2nd, 2019. So if you have any pre-existing conflicts, it's best to sort them out now. And it's, of course, going to be held in Orlando, Florida. So that's for award ceremonies.
All right, guys. So if you've seen or heard me laughing over the past few minutes, it was because of the pathetic competition that you are all up against. So I was granted this opportunity. Sorry, excuse me. I still find it funny. But I was granted this opportunity to give you guys a little bit of a prep talk, or a conclusion, to stimulate some more fire inside of you guys. So honestly, seeing all of your dedication and commitment to DECA these past few months, I know success is just around the corner for all of you. These past few months, we've practiced, grinded, we presented, and practiced some more. And on Friday, you're going to do exactly what you've been prepping for all this time. It's not going to be anything new. You're going to be cheering at the top of your lungs and bringing back 90 plaques for our chapter. That being said, no matter the outcome of Friday, remember to be proud of what you've accomplished and grown into. Whether it's your first or last year into DECA, best of luck. You guys will all kill it in the competitions.
All right, thank you, Aaron, for your very inspirational speech. So that's basically it for us. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to say in the chat at the moment, and we'll try to get through as many as we can. And we are not answering Darren's question or Tracy's. Actually, Aaron, Tracy has a question for you.
Oh, Aaron, is this a new hairstyle or do you just look bad today? Well, in preparation for provincials, been working hard, no time to work with the hair, and I'm sure that all of you feel the same way. So we're gonna look ugly for these few days, and then the day of props, we're gonna be stunning the judges. And Kelly has no friends. Thank you.
Yo, Nick, look at the Facebook chat. Question there.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, never mind. There's no question. So nobody has any questions?
Oh, I have a question.
Okay, what's that, Aaron?
All right, what do you guys think is the best thing to do after competitions? If I'm feeling nervous, if I'm not feeling like I did that well, what do you think I should do?
Does everyone want to give an answer? So we can just start from one person and just go down, I guess. Does anybody want to start?
Tracy, these are some wild suggestions.
Okay, I'll start then. So really, you have a lot of options to do. You can either stay in the hotel and take a long nap. That's what a lot of people do, and I think we have like tons of pictures of people just taking naps on couches. So if that's your groove and you're really tired because you decide to pull an all-nighter, which you shouldn't do, then that's up to you. You can do that, but you always have the option of going through the path, going to Eats and Sarah, doing some shopping, just hanging out with friends in general. I mean, DECA is a really good opportunity to network with new people, especially if they're like your friends that maybe you met somewhere else. So say like maybe you're going to meet up with some Shad friends, or you're going to meet up with friends that you like, elementary school friends that you haven't seen for a long time. It's a really good opportunity to see them if you can make plans with them. But really, the option's up to you, whether you want to go shopping, napping. As long as you don't do anything that is too far from the Sheraton that you don't make it back on time for whatever time we're leaving, which is bad, or if you decide to leave the path completely. So do not do those two things.
Just to address Wendy's question, is it better to aggressively speak louder or your judge have difficulty listening to you speak politely? You don't need to speak louder aggressively. Just project your voice. There's going to be curtains around you. You'll be able to hear the other people, but you'll be close enough to your judge so they'll be able to hear you. I don't think we've ever had a problem with that. Don't start yelling at your judge because they'll definitely notice. But if you can see that the people around you are drowning out your voice, just pick up the volume a bit. And if you even want to mention like, oh, sorry, blah, 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 and then speak a little bit louder for your judge, it's not a strict presentation like that. You can still speak to your judge like they're human. So yeah, don't worry about that. The bus should leave on the way back. I think we're expected to leave at 6 p.m., right? It's either that we're leaving at 6 or we're getting back at 6. It really depends on how events run. So really, whatever time the last events finish for our chapter, that's when we're going to figure it out. Closer to the day, we'll give you a time, but at the moment, just assume around like maybe 5:30. Probably get back 6:30 to the school. Also, we've had this problem a lot in the past. When we say we're going to leave, for example, on Friday, please do not go find something to eat 20 minutes before the bus leaves, because the entire Bayview DECA will be waiting for 2 or 1 person to finish. So if you're going to do something, please give yourself 45 minutes or so between the point when we're leaving, and just be ready for the time we're going to leave. If you want to change it to Sheraton, you can, but I really don't suggest it, because depending on what traffic is like, we could get there really close to what your case times will be. I'm pretty sure they start case times at close to 8 something a.m. So if we leave at 6 a.m., which is the idea, but most likely there's going to be people running a little bit late. Saying that we leave by 6:15, it won't give you much time to change and prep time. So I would come dressed and then just change into sneakers or something after if you want.
The other thing with that is that there's a chance that someone might have to recommend anytime
Michelle, we
Michelle,
can't.
you gotta move your mic closer.
Yeah.
you can always anytime you walk into the Sheraton and you're not wearing your business attire, you could get a penalty immediately on the spot. So it is safer to come to school dressed, and that way as soon as you walk into the Sheraton, you're ready to go.
And I know we talked about this before, and I know they really talked about this at the Riddens workshops, but please do not wear anything risky tomorrow. If not tomorrow, sorry, on Friday, meaning that don't wear dresses that go above your knees. Don't wear any skirts that go above your knees. For guys, don't wear any t-shirts under your shirt, your dress shirts that say anything provocative on it. Please just keep it simple, because they have given out dress codes very frequently, and we had a few teams who their point of getting to ICDC and not making it was decided by that penalty. Please just keep it safe and don't wear anything like that. Kara, the bus should be leaving the same time Saturday as it is Friday.
For Kara's question, it's I would say it's pretty loud. I don't think you have to speak up, but you have to speak at a good good volume, right? So you can't be whispering, even though your judge is right in front of you. Just speak normally. Don't have to yell. Don't have to raise your voice. And just speak in your own tone, and volume.
Anish, feel free to do so, but I've not had good experiences with that. If you're lucky to get your judge's number, hey, I don't know about that.
Oh, does anybody have any? Yep, Aaron.
Yeah, wait, Anish, if you're in the chat, can you answer if you're bringing the portable monitor for the written teams tomorrow, or if you can? Basically, Anish bought this pretty cool monitor. It's a nice size that you can just plug into your computer, and it projects without any other wires or anything. All right, perfect.
Nick, Darren had a good question.
So that's fine, but this is what we say to do. Take a picture of your ID before you leave. Take out your phone right now, take a picture of it. They should accept photo ID, so having just it on your phone. If you lose it during the competition and don't have that photo, you're essentially out of luck. We can't do really much about it. So take a picture now, make sure you have it saved on your phone so that you can use that, and then you can deal with finding your ID later and not panic about that, right? So you really want to just decrease the stress on that day by having backups, essentially. And especially if you if you're grade 10, actually no, grade 11 and above, if you have a driver's license or a different other form of photo ID, you can also use that to maybe minimize your stress by having 2 IDs. But really taking a photo is probably the best option.
Also send that photo to your friends or team members. So if you lose your phone, at least they still have their phone.
Yeah. And just to clarify a previous question regarding the weights of MCs, for all orals categories, the weight of the MC is equal to that of your cases. So for individual orals, you do 2 cases, and each case is worth 100, and your MC is worth 100 for a total potential score, but it's unrealistic, obviously, of 300. So your total score will be out of 300. And then for team orals, in which you do 1 case at provincials and you have your MC, each is worth 100. So then your total score will be out of 200. The weights for written categories in terms of how the MC is weighted is different than in oral. So in orals, MC and role plays have the same weight.
To answer Wendy's question, when your partner is saying stuff during the presentation, do you just stare at your judge while smiling? How do you avoid coming off as creepy? So I personally think that you should be looking at your judge regardless of whether or not you're speaking. But then the way to overcome any awkwardness, I really think, is just team dynamics. So instead of just one person just talking towards the judge for a paragraph, then the next person goes in, you can always integrate parts where you're kind of involving each other. So like, oh, like my partner here previously mentioned, you give your partner a quick glance, a smile, you nod, right? So it kind of takes off that awkwardness. And in the chance that the judge, like in my experiences, the judge usually looks at one person out of respect who's talking. But then if I was a judge, I would probably look at everyone, even when one person is talking. I think the way to approach that is just keep on looking at them. Just don't like stare at them. Just like kind of nod like respectfully when they see you. And it's not as bad as you think, because even if you're staring at them for the entire time, they're not staring back at you. So they don't know that you're staring, right? And yeah.
I was going to say as well, with the presentations and the written presentations, almost every time your judge is going to be writing notes and stuff down while you're speaking, which means that you're not going to have that awkward scenario where the judge has their eyes locked on one person, whoever is speaking. They're going to be looking up and down from what they're writing down with. And as Anna mentioned in the chat, and I think Aaron talked a bit about, nod and smile at your partners when they're talking. Don't smile over like aggressively and a lot during the presentation, because your judge is going to think you're creepy. But, you know, just keep it natural as if you were listening to someone speak. And you don't have to always have your eyes on the judge, because the judge is not going to be looking at you. Wherever you feel is important, don't keep your head down. Make sure that your shoulders are up. You have proper posture throughout the entire time. And realistically, with the way that your presentation should be structured, you shouldn't have more than a minute where one partner is talking more than another. So it's not going to be that bad when you actually present in front of the judge.
And adding on to that for orals teams, just make sure that you guys are not trying to read your notes as your partner is speaking. You guys should have an idea of who is going to say what and at what time. So make sure you're not always just looking down and reading. You're paying attention to your partner and to your judge while the other person is speaking.
All right. To address Kira's question, how do we relax before the day before and right before our case? So I mean, it really depends. Some people think it's really relaxing. Well, not relaxing, but it calms them down to do more practice. I personally advise against it, just because I think practice just makes you feel more intimidated to go into your case, just because you're like, oh shoot, I'm going to do this. Like this practice goes completely bad, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to do terrible on my case, and that really just sets like your mood during that day. So I personally say avoid practicing. If you want to read over notes, I mean, that sometimes works, but again, I think that kind of makes you even more nervous because you stress out over the things that you don't know. So I personally say, like, just relax with your friends, talk. This is a really good opportunity outside of school to bond and have some fun. So take that time maybe to go to Tim Hortons, grab a coffee, grab some breakfast, eat, relax, right? And I think like you can make so many good memories at provs that just relaxing, you will remember those things when you're relaxing, but you won't remember like your case as much, right? So make those memories at provs, and then do the best you can in your case, right? Before the night before, honestly, get a good night's sleep. Don't take that time to cram in those last few notes. Like maybe you don't know the 4 P's of marketing and you want to study 4 P's of marketing for like 2 hours. Don't do that. Honestly, like it's better to get a good night's sleep, get that full 8 hours, so that you are awake tomorrow, all feeling like the best you can. I would advise against studying. Just you should have studied before, and you should be ready at this point. And I think everyone is ready from seeing your progress through training. So just believe in yourself, be confident in yourself, and you'll do great.
Wait, also.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
Okay, wait. Just to add on to Nick's answer, I think something else that you can do that personally helps me to feel more calm and in control before competitions or anything in general is just to like mentally visualize yourself doing it. So for example, if you have a case, visualize yourself walking in, visualize yourself being confident, shaking the judge's hand, smiling, all the positive things. And if you imagine all of those things, at least in my experience, it helps you calm down a lot. All right, Anna, go ahead.
Okay, so for written visuals, plan out who's going to take in what poster or what board or what laptop before you go into the room, and practice that when like in the morning. And also take them out as you're talking about them or referencing them, because if you pour them all out onto the table at the very beginning of the presentation, the judge isn't going to know what to look at and they're just going to be overwhelmed with information. So take them out as they're relevant.
Somebody in written's addressed Dan's question. I'm actually not sure. I'm pretty sure they said that you do need a copy of it.
Dan's. Yeah, don't At the end, so at the beginning, present it to your judge, say, here's the report. If you want to reference it throughout your presentation, that's fine, but give it to them at the beginning, and you can give them the option of keeping it. I doubt they will keep your report just because I don't think they're, like, I doubt they'll keep the copy of your report, but having it in front of them will allow them to flip through it during your presentation because, as I said, they're not going to be looking at you the entire time, and they will have time to flip through it. And at the end, if you want to give them the visuals to keep, I know in the past, some judges have accepted my posters, my brochures, and my business cards, and other judges have only accepted brochures and business cards. So just present it to them at the end, and they'll take whatever they can.
Does someone want to address Nikita's question?
I can. So Nikita, different people prepare in different ways. If you feel like you really do need to have notes on every single instructional area and on most PIs, go for it. But don't stress yourself out too much right before your case, because that's actually really going to affect your performance. I think the most important thing is to, like, take a deep breath, relax. You're definitely prepared for whatever is going to come your way. So don't worry too much about it. If you feel like you do need to have notes, feel free to bring them along with you. Just don't bring them into your case because you will get in a lot of trouble for that.
Wait, at this point, if you're still missing a lot of notes and you feel the need to like catch up on content, reach out to your trainers, reach out to people who've done your category in the past, and ask them for notes. Ask them if they know anyone who has notes, because we've had a lot of successful competitors in our chapter, and there's definitely someone who's willing to help you out.
Just adding on to that, I know that some people think that like the breathing doesn't actually work, and laugh at like breathing exercises, but breathing exercises are actually very, like, it helps a lot because it really controls your heart rate, which is really what's causing your heart's pounding in your chest, right? So just controlling your breathing actually helps a lot. So take that time, compose yourself, right? If you're in individuals and you have to get away from everyone and just have some individual time so that you can just take a breath, relax and everything, take that time, right? Do what's best for you. You know yourself the best, and don't worry about what other people think. Like, don't worry if somebody's going laughing at you because you're taking that breath, right? But if that breath helps you, use it and do it.
I know as well, something that helped me a lot in the past when I was really nervous, and especially grade 10, is try to rationalize it to yourself. You guys have put about, like, I don't know how many months of work into this. You've gone every single week. You've prepared as much as possible for orals. One case is not going to make the difference. Rationalize it to yourself. You've done so amazing throughout the year with your trainers. And for writtens, you guys have some of the best resources out there, and you're competing, although you might have 30, 40 teams. These teams as well, you know, not trying to be mean, a lot of them are waste, and they're not really there for DECA. They're there just to have an extracurricular to write on an application or something like that. So just try to rationalize it to yourself and don't freak yourselves out by a number that you're competing against.
So we're going to leave the questions for maybe like about a minute, and then we're going to sign off. So if you have a question, put it in the chat real quickly. Just to answer Varun's question, so we have 2 buses. So we've already made the bus list and we'll release it soon. We made sure that you are with your partners on your bus. You can bring earbuds, you can bring whatever you want. Maybe jam out to some music, maybe that helps you de-stress. It's a pretty long drive, especially with traffic on Friday. So maybe have something on hand to help you relax and do something on the bus. But we'll release that soon.
Wendy, that generally won't really happen. If for whatever reason your judge does say that you can't sit down, especially for writtens, just
I have had that. I have had that happen.
Wait. Call the proctor. I don't think they're allowed to do that.
No, I've had that happen before. You go up to the judge and they say, wait, please 1 second. And I stood there with Austin and Ryan, like awkwardly like this. And they said, okay, sit down.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you meant like never.
But they're not going to be like, no, you have to stand up. They'll just say, yeah. Oh, wait.
Give me like 2 seconds. Yeah.
But that's if your judge is, you know, having a really bad day or they're a pretty horrible person. So I don't think that's gonna happen.
Honestly,
Another,
oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
another reason why that might happen is if they're writing down notes from the last competitor. So if you see your judge like bent over the desk still writing something, just ask them, "Are you ready for me to come in?" before you actually go in and introduce yourselves.
Honestly, if you guys have any problems and you feel like something's being unfair towards you, somebody's being unfair towards you, say like your judge is like completely disrespecting you, make sure you inform your series director, all right? Speak up, be vocal about it. If they're telling you, yeah, you can't sit down, you have to stand up, then you should be definitely going to a series director. I don't think in the past that's ever happened to anyone, especially at the provincial or regional level. I mean, ICDC a bit more hazy in terms of like how judges act with you, but especially at provincials and regionals, they're really respectful. They're all pretty professional in that way, so you shouldn't experience anything like that. But if there is, definitely talk to a series director. Be vocal. Andy, so technically in the judging description, it says that they're not allowed saying anything to you. So that means if you do ask them a question, you're not guaranteed an answer back from them, and they're not required to answer you in any way. So personally, I would not and avoid asking questions because you probably won't get an answer from them, and it'll just be pretty awkward silence. So avoid that. Just use anecdotes. Use more of like one-way thing where you don't need a response from them, and I think that works better. So definitely avoid questions. Richard, does somebody want to answer Wendy's question?
Yeah, okay. So for written questions, judges can ask from 0 to, I want to say, maximum 3 questions. So it'll honestly depend on the judge, if him or her feel the need to ask that many questions, or depending on the time left. Let's say you finish with, not good, but let's say you finish in 11 to 12 minutes. You have 3 minutes left, so the judge may decide to take up that time with questions. But I feel that by the point where they're asking questions, they've already made their judgment of whether or not you're a strong competitor. So I think it's just a final way, per se, for like reinforcing their judgment on you. So if you already performed really well, it'll just be another outlet of honestly getting to know you. I think at ICDC last year, our presentation went very well on the second round, and our judge just like started a conversation with us because she already finished everything. She didn't write any notes after that. She was just kind of talking with us to get to know like what we're doing better. But on the other hand, if you left a bad impression with a judge, it might just be a way of showing a bit of courtesy towards you, or because there is a section for how well you answer questions. And even if the judge does not ask you a question, does not mean they won't give you any marks. There have been people who have had judges who have asked 0 questions and still net full marks on that section. So it's really up to what the judge feels and how well you've done up until that point.
Also, if a judge asks you a question about your presentation or something you didn't include, don't make the assumption that that it's bad. Sometimes judges will give you the benefit of the doubt and ask you a question to prompt something. I know that's happened to me in the past where we might have left a kind of important section of a report out in our presentation and they asked that. So just don't freak yourself out if they ask you something that was important and you forgot to mention, because at the end of the day, they'll still mark you based off of your answers to those questions.
So just a thing that Darren mentioned to me, and something that we should mention about orals. So sometimes judges do things that you won't expect. So especially back in my grade 10 year when I was still in individuals, my judge decided to ask the questions right in the middle of my case while I was presenting one of my PIs. So yes, that's really stressful and you wouldn't expect that, but don't be caught off guard by these things. So any number of things can happen with your orals judge. They can start, like, right when you go in, they can explain what they have to do with their judge's instructions. Like they say, oh, you have 10 minutes to present. You're going to present me all these things and whatever at the beginning, which takes up your time. But wait for them to finish whatever they have to say. Respect them, because although they are eating into your time, if you visibly show that you're flustered or something like that's wrong or whatever, that doesn't really help your case. Just let them speak, let them do it. adaptability is one of the biggest things that you have to learn through DECA. So whatever like challenge or whatever thing that they put at you, make sure that you adapt to it and handle it as appropriately as possible.
That being said, I haven't heard about this happening at provs, but I know it's happened to a couple people at ICDC where the judge will just be talking just to eat up your time so you don't have anything to present, or they'll ask you an insane number of questions or really offensive questions. If that happens, like Nick mentioned earlier, just always bring it up to series director immediately. Don't come back, talk to your trainers and be like, hey, this happened, I don't know what to do. Go to your series director right there on the spot so that they know from the very beginning, and maybe they'll switch around your judges or something, but they'll make sure to accommodate you if that happens.
All right, so we're going to leave. We went for a pretty long time, so we're going to give you like 15 more seconds to ask any questions. If that is all the questions, honestly, guys, I've seen you guys work so hard for the past 5 months, and you honestly have poured so much effort and dedication into preparing for DECA, and we really do see it, and we really do applaud you. Okay. Your series director is just the person that is running everything. So they should have a name tag that says series director on them, and it's pretty identifiable. They're usually the people that also like talk to you at the beginning and tell you everything that you have to do. So they will usually mention that they're the series director. Yeah. So you guys have worked so hard, and you guys have shown so much dedication. We really do see it. And what Aaron says is really true. No matter what the outcome is, no matter how you feel about your case, no matter what, if you get on stage or not, we are still proud of you, and we know you're going to kill it. So be confident, be proud of yourself, and you'll do great at provs. So we're going to end off our stream. So everyone take care. See you guys tomorrow, Orioles mocks tomorrow. We'll see you bright and early on Friday, and you guys are going to kill it.
Yeah.
90% ICDC rate this year. Let's get it.
Yep, let's get the spread.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys.